Hello, welcome to Gardener's World. We've had a really fabulous week here at Longmeadow. The days have been hot and sunny, and then first thing in the morning, just as the light is rising, the garden has just been shrouded in mist. And then as dawn comes up, it slowly reveals itself. It's been really good.
This week, Carol is celebrating ornamental grasses as she meets one of the UK's leading specialists.
What is so fascinating about them, I think, is that I don't think a day or almost an hour goes by without them changing.
And Joe continues his tour of remarkable allotments. And this time he's with a vegetable grower whose hobby is benefiting all the plots around him.
They say all your bees are on my plant, so yeah, it all seems to work well.
They know they're your bees.
I recognise each one.
But first, it's time to cut my Madflower Meadow. The seed heads of the wild carrot form this lovely tangle. It's like a bird's nest. Beautiful. And the important thing is that most of the plants here now either have or are setting seed. And then the seed falls to the ground, and that means we get new plants next year. Now, this may not look like most people's idea of what a wildflower meadow should look like, but it is. It's seed I sowed about a year ago, and this is very heavy, fertile soil. And most wildflower meadows are made on thin, unfertile soil, so it's a completely different mixture of plants. And the good things that are coming up, like the wild carrot, we've got some sorrel in there, we've got the silene coming through, some foxgloves, we've got some geraniums, and at the same time, amongst the clover and the grass, which of course is part of the mix, we've got nettles, we've got some comfrey, we've got far too many docks. But whatever is in it, I need to cut it at the end of summer and take the grass away. It'll look terrible, by the way, but that's okay. And then next spring, it'll grow back through with a fresh flush of growth. Right, it's going to be a long job. The critical thing is, once you start to cut, it's indiscriminate. Don't cut round anything, just go for the whole thing, cut it all flush to the ground and rake it up. And to be honest, I started using the shears, but they're not man enough. Or maybe I'm not man enough, there's a thought. It's not doing a job. I think I need a little bit more oomph.
The reason for raking all the material up and taking it to the compost heap is to stop it rotting down and returning nutrients to the soil. If the soil is too fertile, the grass will grow more strongly and outcompete the wildflowers. So by removing all the cut material, I'm restricting the growth of the grass, giving the wildflowers a fighting chance when they start next spring.
Now, this is one quite complicated way of making grasses and flowers look beautiful growing together. Of course, the other way is to grow border grasses in amongst flowers in your borders, and at this time of year, they're looking spectacular. And all this year, Carol has been going around the country visiting people who've devoted their lives and developed huge expertise in raising the plants that we all love to grow in our gardens. And this week, she's gone to meet Neil Lucas, an expert in grasses in Dorset.
During the last 20 years,
Grasses have installed themselves on the front pages of our gardening vocabulary. They bring levity, sparkle, sound and movement to our gardens. And what's more, they extend the season right the way through the year. 20 years ago, Neil Lucas got hooked on them. Now he has an enviable collection, and his expertise in the subject is unrivaled. In recent years, everybody's sort of wanted a grass, haven't they? Just for the sake of having it.
Yes, yeah.
But do you think we're coming out of that phase now?
I think, thank goodness, we are. When something is fashionable, it is overused.
Yeah.
And I, truthfully, as a specialist, am absolutely delighted that we're past that sort of effervescence of fashion where everything has to be a grass.
Yeah.
And now we can see more clearly how adaptable they are. And being such a huge family, 10,000 odd species, you know, you have a wide choice.
Who would have thought you could get such an effect with just one grass?
This is the purple moorgrass, Molinia caerulea. It is native to the UK and it's present in just about every county of the UK.
What kind of conditions does it need?
Well, they come from just acid and often wet, those sunny conditions.
Yeah.
But they're growing here in sandy, dry soil, and that's what's so good about it as a garden plant. It has a range of tolerances that allows it to be grown in most gardens.
This is what I love too. It's dark down here. When you look at it from the top, it's bright limey green, and then you get this floating heads above it. It's just beautiful. Now, this is really quite a popular grass, isn't it?
Isn't it beautiful? Japanese hakone grass. This is what I think is so great about this one, is that it actually does very well in sun or in shade and under tree roots, which is probably one of the most difficult situations to plant. And this is a good example of one that will almost cope in nothing. We're a sandy soil here with virtually no nutrients.
So a perfect plant for a container. In this part of the garden, there's loads of miscanthus, one of the most dramatic groups of grasses.
They really are real solid mounds of foliage, and then topped by these rather incredible flowers.
I love the way the flowers develop. I mean, first of all, they can be completely vertical.
Almost arrow-like, and then they suddenly start to open, if you can see just to the right there.
Almost like a dragonfly.
Isn't it so
emerging.
incredible?
Yeah.
Totally different from the flower that you now see up here.
They almost look as though they've been crimped.
They do, yes, or very fluffy is the technical word we use, fluffy. Miscanthus malepartus is still one of the oldest cultivars, but probably still the darkest. Miscanthus ferna Austin is a newer one, a little more compact, but just as dark a red.
I grow them in my garden in fairly heavy clay.
They're absolutely fine with that. They like this, open and sunny, but they will grow in sandy soils, as we are here, to quite heavy clay once they're established.
Isn't it true that this is a grass that's brilliant in the winter?
This is one of the best because it's got big, solid stems and it stands and waves in the wind, and you physically have to cut it down, as we do the whole border here, in about March or even first week in April.
One of the qualities that gardeners value grasses so much for is their ability to move around in the wind, isn't it?
It's one of their prime qualities, I think.
But it's not an accident, is it, Neil?
It is all about wind pollination. Whereas if you take, for example, sedums with their beautiful petals, and they attract all the bees, as you can see here, grasses have chosen a different course of action. They have adapted to their particular niche, which has been very, very successful because grasses cover a massive area, percentage-wise, of the earth.
And when you look close in here, it's completely fascinating. I really do need my specs for this.
Yeah.
Because each one of these little tiny units consists of almost fluffy stigma, the female bit, red in this case, and then dangling down these tiny anthers that look quite sort of yellow or orange. But that's a pollen, isn't it?
It is, yes, yeah. And it's just incredible that detail, close up, they look so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then en masse, they have this wonderful, airy, effervescent effect.
Exactly.
Wind pollination, very clever.
Well, grasses come from all over the world, and you do a fair bit of travelling, don't you, looking for new ones?
I do travel around a little bit, yes.
And where do you mainly go to?
Probably United States more than anywhere else. And I brought back a number of plants over a period of time. Pennisetum Fairy Tales, for example, is one of the successes where it's really done beautifully in the UK. But a lot of the other cultivars I brought back weren't so successful. It gradually dawned on me that what we really want to do was focus on our own selection programme so that we can choose plants that we know are going to perform for UK gardens. And this is one such in front. This is Pennisetum short stuff. This one just arose in our growing fields and was in full flower when the others weren't. So it had announced itself as being a good plant for the UK before we even knew about it.
Neil, you've introduced us to so many plants that do so brilliantly in our gardens. So not only do we have the information, but when we see them growing like this, we've also got the inspiration too. Absolutely brilliant.
Now is absolutely the best time to go and see grasses and get ideas of what you might like to grow in your garden. Now, there's one little thing here I want to show you. In this compost bay, the third one along, so it's been shredded, it's been turned a couple of times, is growing very happily an avocado. So an avocado that got eaten, put in the compost bin, loving it in the compost heap. Unfortunately, the chances of raising avocados as fruit are pretty slim unless you've got a heated greenhouse and probably extra lighting too. But it's interesting what survives the composting process. However, all this material that I've raked up will compost beautifully. But it's best if you can to break it down. You can see that in this heap, we've got a mixture of grass clippings, which are essentially green and quite soft, and if you just have a great wodge of them, turn into a horrible slurry. And in here, an awful lot of hedge clippings. We've cut our hedges, and these have been chopped up and are composting really well. And of course, at this time of year, there's a lot of brown material. This is carbon-rich material like hedge clippings, like the dried stems on perennials or annuals. When you mix them up with material that's high in nitrogen, and they work together, and that makes a lovely compost. But the only way to get material like this, you can see I've got hedge clippings waiting to be cut up, is to chop them up in some way. We've got a shredder, and if you can afford it and justify it, they work really well. You can, and we do this with hedge clippings, lay them on the ground and mow them. Run the mower over them, and if you've got a collector, that collects it up while you're about it, and then just put that straight on the compost heap. But however you do it, if you can break down woody or brown material and then mix it in with green, that will make much better compost. Now, I hope you are all making compost, but here are some other jobs you can be doing this weekend. Next year's flowers on camellias, rhododendrons and azaleas are already formed as buds. But unless these have a good soak with rainwater now in autumn, there is a risk that they may drop off before they open. So water them now and every week for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and that will ensure you get the best possible display next spring. Now is a good moment to dethatch your lawn. Use a wire rake and give it a vigorous scratch. This will take up any dead material and moss which can be put on the compost heap. It'll also expose the roots of the grass to light and air. There'll be some response this autumn, but the main benefit will be seen when it starts to regrow next spring. If you cut your mint back a month or so ago, you should have plenty of fresh, strong growth. And now's the time to separate a section and pot it up into a rich, free-draining compost. Water it well and put it onto a bright windowsill or greenhouse. And this will give you fresh mint long after the outdoor plant has died right back. It's very much bulb planting season. And as well as planting bulbs in the ground, of course, you can grow them really well in pots. And I try and grow as many bulbs as I've got pots, just fill them all up. But you can also fill individual pots with layers of bulbs. And this is great either if you have a pot or pots that you absolutely love, or if you've got just a tiny space and you want to maximise the colour from the space you've got. Now, I've got a couple of pots here which have got a really wide top and therefore are good for being full of flower. And what I'll be doing is planting bulbs in here, and when they're finished, take them out and then have another display which will see me through summer. And one of the beauties of growing bulbs in pots, if they're only going to be temporary, is you can break all the rules. The first thing to do is to cover that drainage hole, otherwise all the compost will fall out. Now, all these bulbs like free draining compost. So whatever compost you use, mix it with either perlite or grit. And I've also added leaf mould because bulbs do really well in leaf mould. So a layer in the bottom. Now, the bottom layer, I'm using some tulips. I've got a variety here called Negrita with this nice long stem and a lovely purple flower. And I can pack them in. So we'll pop the bulbs just an inch or two apart, pointy side up. And when you buy tulip bulbs, look for nice big plump bulbs. And the bigger the bulb, the better they will flower. That is our late April display. We cover that up with a layer of compost. So the next layer is going to be daffodils. And what I have here is tete-a-tete. And everything about it is elegant, petite, full of grace. We don't need to worry about blocking the root of the tulips underneath. They will find their way past these bulbs and negotiate a passage. And we also don't need to worry about finding enough food for it. We don't need to add any extra feed to the compost because everything that bulb needs to flower is there now. Now, on top of that, I'm going to put some irises. These are dwarf irises with intense colour, and they just shine like jewels very early in the season. These will flower certainly in February and perhaps last into March, which of course is when tete-a-tete will come through. The bulbs are set. Just put them in some reasonably sheltered, reasonably sunny spot, and you can leave them there until the shoots start to appear, and then you put them where you want to display them. But it will only look like that. So if I want it to look great from now, right the way through until the irises start flowering in February, I need to add something on top. And I love pansies and violas. Now, the secret of growing really successful violas and pansies is not to let them dry out too much. So they will need some water. And the bulbs will find their way through the pansies. Don't worry about that. So what we have is a succession of flowers, starting with the dwarf iris in February, and as those die back, the daffodils come up, and they will flower in March and even into April. And finally, in all their glory, the tulips will burst through and come into flower from mid-April into May. And then by the middle of May, they'll all be over and we can clear it out and use this pot for our summer display. Well, this is looking forward to next spring. But this summer has been particularly good for those of us that grow fruit and vegetables. And Joe's been seeing this in action in allotments all around the land. And this week, he's gone down to an allotment near Bristol.
September is a wonderful time of year for allotments, with the harvest reaching its peak and plot holders reaping rich rewards for all their hard work.
Hello, John.
Hello, Joe.
What a wonderful setting for an allotment.
Oh, it's fantastic.
With the
Absolutely.
Clifton suspension bridge in the back. Have you sorted that out just for me?
Yeah, I painted it there this morning. A nice piece of scenery as a backdrop.
It's beautiful. These grapes are fantastic.
Well, they
really are.
They've been absolutely amazing this year.
Can I try one?
Absolutely amazing. Please do.
Yeah?
Plenty of them.
Oh, look at those. Oh, that's really good.
You know, we've had a wonderful summer.
Wow, you got a... Oh, look at all the squash.
I know, these have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. You've got two varieties here. You've got, I think that one's called Hooligan, which is great. Cheeky little thing. And this one is called Winter Golden Hubbard.
Oh, that's a good name, isn't it? And this is planted on your compost heap, is that right?
It's in a manure heap, yeah. There's some pallets there, and there's all the horse manure in there.
Yeah.
I put 4 plants in there, turn it back, and this is the result.
And these beans are looking good as well.
Yeah.
Wow, look at those.
Well, these are ballottes. I think you can hear
A bit of a rattle.
the seeds are beginning to dry in there. And what we do is, when they've really dried off, in a couple of weeks, we'll pick all the pods when they look like this one, crack them open, and they're just wonderful in casseroles in the winter. Sausage casserole with ballotte beans. God. It's real, comfort food for a cold winter's day.
It sounds good.
But John doesn't just rely on his beans to get him through the winter. He has something much sweeter to tempt the taste buds.
How long have you been keeping bees?
Well, I started when I was 14. My parents had this wonderful builder guy who used to come in and do, jobs around their house. And I was already interested in bees. He mentioned one day that he was a beekeeper, and I was hooked. I haven't been keeping bees all these years. I returned to it about 5 years ago when I got this allotment, and I had the space.
And is this a busy time of year?
This is the busy time of year. The honey harvest is in full swing.
I've never actually looked inside a beehive.
Come this way.
Fantastic.
We need to get kitted up first.
It's like a onesie, is it? Like a bee
It's a
onesie.
bee onesie. A bit of smoke just to tell them we're coming.
Wow.
And there is a colony of honeybees.
How many would you expect to be in there?
Well, I should think there's probably 20 or 30,000 bees.
20 or 30,000 in each hive. So there's a lot of honey in here then, is there?
There's masses of honey. When it's full, there's about 30 pounds of honey.
30 pounds?
Yes, yeah.
So how much honey do you get a year then?
Well, this year, from these hives, I've had about 230 pounds in weight of honey.
That's unbelievable, just from these hives here.
Well, we've had a wonderful summer.
That's a lot of pots of honey.
Yeah.
I'd never have known they'd produce that much.
Here we go.
Oh, wow, look at that. Look at that honeycomb. Oh, that is amazing. So how do you go about extracting the honey?
Well, first of all, you have to clear the bees out of the honey boxes. And you take all the frames out with no bees on them. And you get one of these things, which is called an uncapping knife. Now, I'm not going to do it, Joe, because the minute I take this off, we'll have bees going everywhere.
Yeah.
But you take a very thin slice of the wax off the top. And if I just take that little bit...
Oh, look at that.
There's the honey.
Oh.
Wonderful golden nectar. And already I can see some little red tongues there. You see how they're all forming a ring around it?
Are they getting a bit noisier, or is it just me getting a bit closer, or are they getting a little bit more agitated?
I think they are. I'm going to pop it back in.
Sounds like a very sensible idea.
There we go.
It's incredibly popular these days, keeping bees. How easy is it?
You do need to know what you're doing. During the summer, you've really got to check your hives, keep on top of disease like varroa, make sure the queen's laying properly. There's a lot of hard work involved. It's looking after livestock, after all.
So have you noticed better crops as a result of the bees?
Oh, yes, definitely. Particularly fruit trees, soft fruit, has been really, really splendid.
So the other allotment holders here, they really benefit from
Oh, yes, yeah. The people that I know well down here, they say, oh, your bees are on my plants. So, yeah, it all seems to work well.
They know they're your bees. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Well, I go over and check, and I recognise each one. Joe, before you go, I've got a little something for you. There we are. That's a jar of this season's honey.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to try it.
Please do.
I'm going to try it on the allotment from whence it came and from the bees that I now know so well. Now.
God, look at that. Way.
Well, that's delicious. A really deep, rich flavour as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that's from the allotment because there's so many different plants here?
Oh, I'm sure it is. There's so much variety, and you're getting that variety coming through in the flavour of the honey.
Well, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, bees. And thanks again for the honey.
Thank you.
Of course, encouraging bees into your garden is best done simply by having lots of plants that they will be attracted to. And they just do good in every possible way. All wildlife, though, is going to be good for a balanced garden. And we made this pond specifically as a wildlife pond, that it would attract a whole range of amphibians and insects that would enrich the whole balance and ecosystem of this garden. And it's worked. Now, this pond does have quite a lot of duckweed, but almost every pond does. I've got an email from John in Surrey. Dear Monty, our pond is being taken over by blanket weed and duckweed. The pond is treated weekly. We prefer natural products, barley straw or other bacterial cultures, which remove the nutrients that the invasive plants need. And every few weeks, all visible blanket weed and duckweed is removed manually. We are desperate for any further advice. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, John, but there's not much more to say because you're doing all the right things. Duckweed and blanket weed form through excessive nutrients in the water. And they're incredibly successful at harnessing them. And the reason why you've got too much nutrient in the water is a combination of things. If you've got any bare soil, certainly above the level of the water or nearby, you get runoff. If you've got plants planted in the water, and we've got various plants planted in baskets in here, they have soil and there's a certain amount of nutrients with them. And any decomposing plants, inevitably, you are going to have some weed. But the thing to do is everything you're saying is if you use bacterial cultures, if you use barley straw and manually just scrape it out and put it to one side, that will help. When you take out any plants, whether they be in a basket or weed, from the pond, you take out insects with them. So give them a chance to get back in the water by putting it on the side for at least 24 hours. And then it makes very good compost. So just keep at it, keep managing it and accept that it is part of the ecosystem of the pond. And it's not a problem. The wildlife won't mind. Well, I will gently potter in the pond for a little while. But that's it for today. And I'll see you back at Longmeadow next time. Till then, bye-bye. Hello, welcome to Gardener's World. Now, at this time of year, the short day plants are holding the colour in the garden together. Long day plants, which grow and work with the growing light at the beginning of the year, are really dripping away. But if the plant is promoted by heat, such as dahlias or cannas or marigolds, then there's no reason why they won't go on flowering until the first frost comes. But if they go to seed, then that will stop them. So it is really, really important to deadhead as much as possible. And with dahlias, which I think really carry colour better than anything else at this time of year, you can see the difference. This is a bud that's not yet open, and it's fundamentally spherical. And this is a flower that has finished, and it's more or less conical. And if it's pointy and long, you can cut it off. And when you cut, don't just cut near the head, but right down at a leaf, and that will promote more growth. So if you do nothing else in the garden, just wander around deadheading. It's a lovely job, because apart from anything else, you get to see your garden up close and personal.
This week, Carol is flying high into a tree canopy to discover why our historic trees are precious homes for wildlife.
Ooh, it's a whole different world.
The Dutch garden designer Piet Oudolf gives me an exclusive look around his brand new garden that he's created in Somerset.
Why don't you take one of each you like and just create something beautiful?
And later in the programme, I shall be giving Nigel a good prune. Hey, Nige? come on. Come on, mate. I'm going to plant a couple of crab apples here in the cottage garden. Cottage garden, of course, can take anything. Anything that looks beautiful and is edible is allowed in. And crab apples do all that. They have lovely blossom quite early in April. And then the foliage is good. They make neat trees, never too big. Often the leaves will turn a good colour in autumn, and of course they have beautiful fruits. Beautiful to look at primarily, but crabapple jelly is delicious, and some varieties make really, really good crabapple jelly. I've chosen two varieties. The first is Comtesse du Paris, which will grow about 4 metres tall, not too big, ideal for a small garden. And the fruits last. So you've got that decoration hanging like baubles right up to the end of the year. And there aren't that many crabs that have good yellow fruits. And it has wonderful pure white blossom in spring. So what's not to like about it? The other one, Everest, has more orangey fruits, makes a fairly round head when it's mature, but also has white blossom. And the important thing is that crab apples are tough, they're hardy, and there's practically no soil or situation that they can't grow in. So almost every garden can accommodate one. Come on, Mush, out the way. As for planting them, what I'm doing is I'm digging a much wider hole than the pot. Plenty of room for the roots to spread, because with any tree, you want the roots to go outwards, not down. The further they go out, the stronger the tree will be and the healthier it will be. No. So just tease the roots. Don't try and untangle them. Just break them, and that will stimulate fresh growth. Pop that in the hole. Now notice I haven't added any compost or goodness into the planting hole. There are two reasons for this. The first is that we want this tree to grow out into the soil. And if you put compost in the hole, it won't want to leave. Why would it? The sooner those roots get out into the surrounding soil, whatever it's like, the healthier and the stronger and the better it will grow. And the second reason is if you fill a planting hole with compost or manure, it acts as a sponge, and there's a real risk of waterlogging. And once you've got your height and your position, it will need staking. Move the trees completely out of the way. Stake doesn't need to be tall. It can be as short as 2 or 3 feet, because what you're trying to do is support the bottom of the trunk and let the top move around as much as it wants to. And the more it moves, the stronger it will get. And now we can start to put the earth around it. And at this stage, really firm it in well. This is very, very important that you make sure that those roots are firmly in the ground. And because I've planted it slightly proud of the surface, effectively you're making a bit of a cone. And that's what you want. That's the perfect profile for any tree planting. Next stage is to tie it. You can buy tree ties of various forms. This is the type that I tend to use. You make a figure of 8 so that the tree doesn't rub against the support. Okay, that's planted. Now give it a really good drink. The final stage is to give it a generous mulch. Now this variety, Everest, has peachy-coloured crab apples, and I'll put it in the same position in this border behind me. And between them, I think they'll add colour, shape, and of course fruit to the cottage garden. And the other thing that they do is that they are fabulous pollinators. They attract lots and lots of insects, so they're good for really any garden. But the one thing that neither of these two varieties will do is grow into a large tree. Now that might be a blessing if you've got a small garden, but there is something magnificent about any huge tree, particularly actually if it's growing in a city.
And as part of her journey exploring the wildlife that we share our gardens with, Carol has visited Bristol and a garden that contains a spectacular copper beech.
Until 50 years ago, our city streets and gardens were full of big trees. But sadly, they've begun to meet their demise. And that has emphasised what a hugely important resource they are for both the communities here and the wildlife who inhabit our cities and gardens. Since he was a young boy, James Aldred has been obsessed with trees. This love has taken him all around the world, from the Amazon to Asia, exploring the canopies that tower above us. Isn't it true to say, James, that without trees, we wouldn't be here, would we? They're the kind of lungs of the world, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you could strip away all of the wood and you could see the water that's being carried up through via capillary action and transpiration, you'd see a fountain of water here, and of course that has a massively cooling effect on the urban environment.
But it all starts down here. This wonderful leaf litter, which many people think is a nuisance, is an actually huge benefit for all those creatures. For a start, all the things that snuffle around in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're all there for a reason. They're all eating all these lovely little invertebrates, like this lovely little woodlouse here. And the woodlouse is, I mean, it needs moisture to breathe. It breathes through gills, essentially, and this leaf litter locks that moisture into the ground and provides a microclimate and a very important habitat.
I suppose one of the most important creatures in that kind of chain is the earthworm, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Charles Darwin had nothing but praise for our humble little earthworm.
Worms play a huge role in breaking down fallen leaves. Some of them live on the soil surface, feeding on the decomposing leaf litter. Others live in vertical burrows in the soil, but they come up to the surface at night to feed on fallen leaves, which they drag down. The burrowing and feeding of all worms improves the soil, mixing the layers, making it more aerated, providing excellent conditions for roots to grow, benefiting our gardens immensely. Just so I can truly experience what our tree has to offer the city's wildlife, James, a professional tree climber as well as an expert on trees, is taking me up in the branches of this rather large garden beech. It's just so fascinating, isn't it, to be up here and see what's actually going on.
I think this is pretty squirrelish.
Yeah.
We're in Squirrelville here. All of this is quite deliberately placed, and there's a whole load of beech mass which has been stashed in there.
But this is the best bit. This is the point where a big branch has come down at some stage.
Correct, yeah. So it's come out of here like a socket, really, and the tree now is busy trying to cover it up. I mean, all of this is the broken down remains of wood mixed with leaves.
Yeah.
It's the perfect hanging basket. Right, let's see how deep it goes.
It's right down there.
Right, that's the bottom. So that's right up from the bottom. Look at all that. That's where the wood is breaking down, being turned into the soil.
Really, really squelchy, isn't it?
Yes, it smells pretty funky as well.
It does, doesn't it? It must be heaven in the sky.
It is.
For all those little insects.
It is. Within here, we have a lot of the same things that we have down at ground level. Maybe not the worms, but certainly all the woodlice and earwigs up the top and things. But you've probably got nematodes, all sorts down there.
But all food for the birds who live in the tree too.
Tree creepers love it, especially old pollarded beeches like this, because it's lovely old wrinkled elephantine-style skin, so they can get right in here and pull all the little beasties out. And of course, you know, the only way a holly, for example, gets here to be seeded in this sort of soil is via a bird. So it would have eaten one of the berries off one of these bushes down here, would have come up here all roosted and...
wipes its beak. Well, this is fascinating, but can we go a bit higher and see what's happening up there?
We certainly can.
As you go up, it just changes, doesn't it?
All of the little cracks, crevices, all the breakout cavities, all of the dead wood, it's wonderful habitat, you know.
And as far as the blue tits are concerned, of course, there are all manner of caterpillars and aphids, because blue tits love those, don't they?
And it's all so perfectly timed, isn't it? You don't see the blue tits nesting until those caterpillars are around.
Right, and you don't see the caterpillars out until the beech leaves are out.
Exactly, yeah. They're very important urban corridors, really, the canopy of trees, really. Things can get through, across, between gardens, between larger inner urban green spaces. Let's keep on going.
Yes.
So this is a great perspective. This is one of the things that I love doing with the pollarded beech. At this sort of height, if you now look down...
Oh, wow!
Isn't that fantastic?
Oh, it's beautiful. I think when you're up here, you begin to get some idea of just what it must be like to be one of the creatures who lives up here.
I know. It is an island in the sky, and its only real connection to down there is obviously the tree trunk, but really, in terms of most of the habitat, it's here, inside this bubble, inside this canopy. And of course, it's a lovely way for them to feel safe whilst they're surveying what's going on below.
Right.
And by getting up high, they'll use these as perches to sing from. I mean, thrushes, blackbirds. Anything with leaves is doing wonderful things for your gardens, whether it's a beech, a silver birch, a poplar, or an oak, whatever it is, it's all good.
And not only is it providing infinite variety of wonderful food and shelter for wildlife, but for us all, it just makes you feel better, doesn't it?
It does.
Thank goodness for trees.
Yeah.
We saw in the beech that Carol was looking at how you got a nice neat callus where a branch has snapped off. The damage that's caused to this apple won't heal quite so easily. It's a variety called Arthur Turner. It's an early cooker, a big apple, and it's slightly prone to breaking and has broken badly because the apple harvest has been so huge and so early. And this has left a very jagged edge, huge surface area, pointing upwards so the rain can get in. That will bring fungus, disease, and all kinds of problems may ensue. So I need to sort it out. The first thing to do is to cut back to clean wood and make the cut at an angle so that any rainwater drains off it. So we'll just cut like that. That piece of wood, with its ripped and torn surface all the way around, has taken off. However, this branch is ripping off, and that does need to come down. So I'm going to try and clean that up and see if I can leave a clean wound that will heal itself. It's not the cleanest wound because there is a hole in there that is a possible source of problems. But I would say, when you have wounds like this, don't paint them. Leave them exposed to the air and let them callus and heal naturally, because the dangers of trapping in any fungus, disease, or even just moisture is far greater than the danger of an exposed wound. Actually, while I'm up here, I am going to cut off below this wound. Right, I must tidy all this up, but the first thing I'm going to do is pick up some windfalls. They'll last for a week or two at the most, but essentially you want to use them up as quickly as you can. And Arthur Turner is a really good breakfast apple. Stewed apple for breakfast is one of life's great delights. Mix in a little bit of yogurt, maybe a spoonful of honey. Fantastic. Now, even if you're not gathering Arthur Turner windfalls for breakfast, here's some other things you can be doing.
If you sow spinach seeds now, it'll give you a harvest of baby leaves this autumn and more mature leaves next spring. Sprinkle the seeds thinly in shallow drills. Draw the soil back over them and water them in well. Then cover them with a cloche or fleece, and they should germinate in the next week or two. Now is a good time to take penstemon cuttings as an insurance against winter losses. Choose nice strong stems that don't have a flowering bud and cut them to about 6 to 9 inches long. Put the cuttings straight into a polythene bag until you're ready to pot them up. Then strip off the lower leaves and make a clean cut just below a leaf node. Pop them around the edge of a pot using a free-draining compost. Put them somewhere warm and then give them a water. Mist them daily so they don't dry out. Unlike apples, pears should be harvested before they ripen. Hold the still firm fruit and gently raise it to the horizontal. If it comes away in your hand, it's ready. Handle it very gently and store in a cool, dark place. Then bring out a few at a time to a sunny spot on a windowsill to ripen more quickly. As soon as they are ripe, eat them immediately.
The garden might be gently declining, but grasses are coming to their very best now, and they last easily till Christmas, looking good. And one of my favourites is the Miscanthus malpartus, with its purple plumes of flower, which then change colour to gold as we go further into autumn. And one of the first people to bring grasses into use as border plants was Piet Oudolf, who's now one of the most famous garden designers in the world. And the Gallery Hauser and Wirth has commissioned him to create a garden for their new gallery down in Bruton in Somerset. And a week or so ago, I went down for an exclusive look. Pete, when I walked in here, I saw this big open site, which initially looks like just one giant border. What led you to this?
I thought I'd make it a field of perennials. So it's not really a border. It is perennials that don't grow very tall, so that wherever you are, you can overlook the area and see everything in a different perspective.
It's easy to see Pete's overall idea when you look at the original plan for the garden, which is a work of art in itself.
You see that the drawing is divided up in 1, 2, 3, 4 different ideas.
Right.
This is a planting which has a basic planting of where plants emerge from. We call that a matrix.
So matrix is where you have one dominant plant.
Yeah,
or
ground
group of
cover or
plants.
sort of basic plant where all the other plants or little groups emerge from.
Okay, so whereas these are in clumps.
We call that a block plant.
Block planting.
I put lists together on the side with names that a possible can use in that sort of particular idea. It's like taking a color and pick a plant and put it. I start here with this one plant and just put it everywhere. Next plant, pam, pam, pam. Next plant.
Right,
So.
right.
This garden is still very young, but even after just a few months, the real thing is every bit as striking as Pete's plan.
Now this, I guess, is matrix planting. So the dominating is this grass, which, to be honest, I don't recognize. What is this grass?
Sporobel is a North American grass, which is a prairie grass. It's very durable, very reliable, and it's recently introduced in the UK.
And what about maintenance? Is it high maintenance?
Everything we see here, whether it's the block planting or this, has a lower level of maintenance when it is grown in. If the soil is good enough, you look at the plants and look healthy. I wouldn't use compost or whatever, a mushroom compost. I would use a neutral mulch, like pine bark, very small fraction, not too thick. But the good thing is these plants will cover ground. There's not much space for mulch.
Okay. At what point do you cut it all back?
People ask me, when do I have to cut back? I say, when you're bored with the plants you see.
This is one of your block planting beds. There we have a great block of Helenium.
I love it because after flowering, it still looks good. You know? These little seed heads, they stay for over the winter. So it's all about the dynamics too. You know, it's about when they start till flower and after flowering into the winter. Yeah. So it's all about the seasons.
What goes on in here in spring? Because it won't look anything like this, will it?
We're going to put bulbs in 2 months, but a lot. Eremerus, Camassia, Allium, Crocus, and what else we put in, but we do that in masses.
If I have a small back garden, but I like this style of planting, what's the smallest scale it will work on? Do I need clumps of 5 or 3? How much can I take it down?
We can take it down to single plants.
Really?
Yeah, really. Gardening doesn't have to do with scale. It has to do with, you know, how you put things together. Let's say you have a small garden, you love all the plants here.
Yeah.
Why don't you take one of each you like and just create something beautiful with it? I could do it, you know. In this scale, I can do a lot wrong. On a smaller scale, you're happy to potter around with your plant the next year and say, okay, it was in the wrong place and we put it there now. That's gardening. That is how I started, you know. If you don't do things wrong, it will never go right.
Come on in, come on.
Now, I've had a letter, hope it doesn't get too soggy in the rain, from Martin in Cardiff. And Martin says, Dear Monty, around this time last year, Monty revealed plans to create a box topiary of Nigel in the garden. My children, Owen and Menna, hello Owen and Menna, watch Gardeners World with me every other Friday when they come to stay, and almost without fail ask whether the statue of Nigel will be on this week. Do you have an update on its progress, and are there any plans to show it before the end of the series? Well, the statue of Nigel, the great statue of Nigel, not made out of box, made out of yew. And there is a really significant difference, not least that it won't get box blight like every other bit of box in this garden. But here's the model. So we've got the head, so a nice long back, and Nigel posing. Good boy. So we've got a back along there. The head will come up and then go along. So at this stage, I can start cutting quite a lot of it away. So the first thing is to take this off. And like any plant, yew wants to establish a leader. And where you have a leader, like this one, it suppresses the growth of the shoots below it. So by cutting off that leader, I'll make these grow more strongly. That is now the top of Nigel's head, and his jaws and mouth and nose will come from these 3 here. So I'm going to have to train those in, which means, and we've got a little bit, we've got ears and things together. I won't need that, so that can come back, and I won't need that, and I won't need that. The point that I'm trying to do is to create a woody framework. What? Oh, I can tell you something the topiary will have to have, and that's a ball. It'll either have to be a ball just in front of him, with him fixated on it, or else in his mouth. Which would you prefer? In your mouth, I guess. So, if that's the head coming up there, we can take this back. We can take this back. Now, if we've got the head, that means the chest is coming down, so we can cut that back, and this. Okay, let's tie that in. Essentially, I'm making Nigel's spine. There. That can get tied in too. Now, at this stage, it obviously doesn't look any more like Nigel than it did half an hour ago, but we're beginning to get the sense of a framework. And that really is the secret of nice, strong topiary. Cut it and shape it and build it up as you go. You can be put on the compost heap. It will compost down.
Of course, not all fruits have to justify their place in the garden by their produce. The banana that I put in after seeing it at Hampton Court has been fabulous from the day I planted it. Really looks good, but I'll never get a banana from it. In fact, it won't overwinter. So when the weather gets colder, I'll be lifting it and taking it in. But that's for later. No more time left today, I'm afraid. But I'll see you back here at Longmeadow next time. Till then, bye-bye.